Hi everyone, Reese Cooper here, and in today's video I just wanted to talk a bit about, the true thing that's really holding PT clinics and PT clinic owners back right now from essentially growing and scaling their clinic to where they want it to be, right? Every PT clinic owner right now has kind of this, they have this dream, this vision in their head of where they want their PT clinic to be, right? In terms, and that's in terms of, revenue. That's in terms of growth and impact on the community around them, and just in terms as a business, as a clinic and business as a whole, right? They all have these dreams and everything. And so, well, obviously when you start out a PT clinic, you start with kind of referrals and you're able to grow, right? I believe that you're able to get to, upwards of, $10,000 a month through referrals alone, right? If you're a cash-based practice. And so that's perfect, right? Getting to that place, that's super easy. It's what happens beyond 10K that really kind of deduces the true winners and separates the true winning PT clinic owners from the cream from the crop, essentially, right? And so what happens is a lot of physio clinic owners from that point on think that, okay, cool, got referrals, now it's time to add a few more different marketing channels, right? And so then they go, cool, I'm going to start doing more workshops, right, which take a ton of time. They say, cool, we're going to start doing social media. All businesses right now, it's 2026, all businesses are doing social media, so I'm going to do social media. They go, okay, cool, well, I need an owned audience, so I'm going to do something like email marketing, and they end up doing 4 different social media channels, tons of workshops, trying to work on getting more referrals into the clinic. They do email marketing, and they do so many more different kind of forms of marketing, right? And what that does is it has to obviously take up mental capacity and space in your brain. Just like your clinic has a capacity, and that number may be, 25 patients a day, right? Or, 150 visits a week. It doesn't matter where you're at. But when you're scaling and growing your clinic, and a lot of clinic owners go down this route of thinking that more equals better, right? And to be completely honest with you, you couldn't be further from the truth. More does not equal better when it comes to marketing, right? A saying that I like is that fancy fails, simple scales, right? The thing is that, you split your kind of mental focus and you split your work ethic across all of these different domains. So you've now got to, run a clinic, manage staff, be a PT if you're still treating, and then along with that, now that you want to grow the clinic, you've got to work on the business, you've got to build systems, you've got to work on the 4 different social media channels. You've got to work on building email marketing, and you've got to do all of these things. And even when you do workshops, what you find is that a lot of the time, getting people to the workshop takes marketing on its own, and then you just hope that the people that show up are interested in buying more, from you, and that's kind of it, right? So that means that you've got to do marketing for those workshops on social media, but then also marketing for your practice. And that it spreads you so thin, and it actually allows you to get absolutely nothing done, right? And so this is the main thing that I see so many PT clinic owners doing right now, right? They're spread so thin, and they wonder why it doesn't feel like they're getting paid for their efforts. It feels like they're getting really, really, really underpaid in terms of the work that they're doing as a clinic owner, right? And as a physical therapist or physiotherapist, right? And that's because, you're taking on such an insane amount of workload, and that's just simply ineffective. Back to the whole thing of, more marketing and more effort on that side doesn't actually equal, more results. Marketing is a thing of leverage, right? Leverage is kind of your everything when it comes to marketing. And when you do online marketing now, you have the ability to do a one-to-many kind of marketing strategy, right? It's creating one piece of content, and then many eyes see it, right? And so that means that obviously there's more things to control, and you have to create an insane piece of content in order to get people to convert, right? And get them actually interested in what you have to say. And so even on the whole content side of things, you've got to do so much deep diving into different things that are drawing people's attention, keeping them retained on the video, and then getting them to take action at the end, right? You've got to then focus on all of that. You've got to figure it all out. You know, you weren't trained to do that. You don't even want to do that most of the time. That's so many PT clinic owners I talk to, they don't even want to do this, but they don't know how else to do it, right? And I believe this is the main thing that's just holding so many clinics back right now from the results that they could be getting and the impact that they could be making. Because they're just simply wasting time for such minimal results, right? And so, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to sell you here, but I mean, the way we do it, right, with our clients is it's all about building a 3-part patient acquisition system. And the way we do it is we do it in such a way where the clinic owners that we work with then don't have to lift a finger, not because we're there to install it. Even if they install it themselves, it's a one-time thing that all you have to do is iterate. Once you've installed it, it runs completely autonomously, and all you have to do is iterate bit by bit. Keep kind of tracking, keep an eye on things, and then it just turns into a management project rather than this creation stressful environment. You know, you're able to make decisions based on numbers. You're able to see what works and what doesn't work, as opposed to trying to guess with content, right? And so that's the main thing that that so many clinic owners are just not getting right now, and they're really missing out on it, right? You know, a lot of clinic owners feel like paid ads and the paid side of things is such a risky part. The way I see it, and the way all of my clients see it, is that not doing paid ads is much riskier because you're uncertain of results. With paid ads, you're able to track numbers, and you can actually logically come up with I put $1 in and I get so many dollars out, right? I invest so much and I get so many patients, and they cost me this much to get, and when I pay that, I pay $11, for example, and each patient then makes me $1,500 or $2,000, right? Or $1,000. And so you have this kind of logical understanding of how the system works. Now, obviously, the paid side of things is just the first part of it. On the back end of that is what we have is called what we call the golden nurture or golden follow-up system, right? Which again is a numbers game, and it's something that we track. You know, it's all about using calling, it's about using messaging, it's about using emails, and kind of combining those three in different kind of patterns in order to get the attention that you're able to draw up into active evaluations and upcoming evaluations, getting them booked in and getting them to show up, right? And for some reason, I don't know why clinic owners are almost like allergic to this. I think a lot of the time it's maybe either they're allergic or they just don't know about it, right? But it's just really baffled me for the last few months, right? We're in 2026, no one's really changed their systems, everyone's doing content and guessing with content, trying to spread the word about their clinic and everything, and so few of you guys are really taking on the fact that there's a smarter, more strategic, more calculated way to actually grow your clinic to where you want it to be, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is the main thing that I see holding back clinic owners is leverage. They're not leveraging their time properly, they're not leveraging their effort properly, because they're doing so much work. They're doing this mountain of work for such a small result. You know, maybe you do, you know, 6 Instagram reels per week, right? You do all of those, you have to go through filming them, scripting them, you know, thinking of the idea, everything, all of this effort. You put that out there, and then it gets you a couple likes and a couple comments. What then? You know, where do you go from that, right? It's a much less controllable environment for what you're doing in terms of marketing. So not only are, you know, so many PT clinic owners doing so much marketing, but they're doing the wrong types of marketing, if that makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, you know, what I mean by that is like you're doing the lowest leverage marketing possible. You know, so many of the clinic owners that I've spoken to over the last few months are very much missing the point of having a growth scalable kind of system, right? You gotta kind of craft this one system. As I said, fancy fails, simple scales. What you guys are doing right now is so fancy. It is so fancy because you're trying to appear everywhere. Now, I'm not saying that omnipresence marketing doesn't make a difference. It 100% does. But you're trying to jump to the end. You're trying to jump to this omnipresence end of end of the kind of path model when you haven't even started at the beginning of the path. There is no uni presence marketing that you actually have right now. You know, you're jumping straight to the end, and so you don't actually have anything scalable. That's what makes your entire marketing feel completely friction filled, and you know, you don't know what's going on, you don't know how to track, you don't know what to track, you don't even know what to do. You're kind of just going, I guess we'll do Instagram, I guess we'll do Facebook, you know, more is better, must be, right? It's really not. So I guess what I want you to take away from this video is to really start your marketing journey with one system that is growable, that is scalable, and that you can actually rely on before transitioning into this omnipresence, doing everything at once. The successful clinics have a proven system that includes an omnipresence spin to it. That looks like what they do is just omnipresence. But they have this proven system that they've crafted over years and years of iterations, building it, rebuilding it, growing it, you know, consistent feedback from the system. And they get to this point where they have omnipresence within their marketing, and they have different touch points with their people. But if you're just starting out or just trying to get some sort of clarity on marketing and what the real need for your marketing needs to be and what you actually need to accomplish, like just starting out, right, is you need one system. You need a form of drawing up attention, getting eyes on your practice and you, right? And so that can be one social media platform, because all social media platforms are different. So if you do different social media platforms, again, you're splitting your focus even further because you have to take into account the different social media platforms. But you need one way, an attraction system, right? A way of drawing up attention. The best way, and this has got nothing to do with selling you, but the best way that we found with our clients is paid advertising, because it's something that we can control to the T. We control how many people see it, we control how much spend there is, we can control how many people actually go through and actually book an appointment and show up to that appointment. That's all controllable with paid ads, right? But you need the attraction system. You then need the conversion or the nurture system, right? Number 2 is you need the nurture system. How do you get that attention that you've kind of crafted and drawn up from your business? How do you get that into a booked-in evaluation for your practice, right? And so that's number 2. And then you move on to number 3. Once that person then comes into the clinic, you have the conversion system. How do you get that person from just a booking and just a person, a stranger, an appointment booking, how do you get them to being a cash-paying patient for months on end or for weeks on end? And not in terms of that you're like scaling, like you're a snake oil salesman, you know, you kind of like a haha got you. It's you're delivering an impactful service for a period of time. But how do you turn them into that, right? And so if you're a cash-based or hybrid PT clinic owner or multidisciplinary clinic owner, you know, this is essentially what you should be starting off with. If you do not have this, then do not jump to the omnipresence, you know, doing social media 10 times a day, different platforms, email marketing, doing workshops, doing this, doing that. Have some structure, right? And so if this has resonated with you, but you're not really sure where to start maybe, or you know, how to actually get on to building something like this and how to actually move forward, you know, I've given you what you need to do, but it's very hard to maybe understand it or understand what needs to be done at each stage and everything, then go ahead and book in a call with either myself or a member of my team down below. And we can hop on a free strategy meeting, completely free. You know, all it takes is time. And essentially what we'll do is we'll walk you through a strategy. We'll figure out what's best for you and your clinic. And you will leave that meeting with more knowledge than you walked in with. That is a guarantee, right? And if you like this video, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment if you want to see anything more specific. And I will see you in the next video.